forgive me. All right. Well, Shabbat Shalom. Uh, Peace to the tribe of Israel. Shabbat Shalom to all you all that are here today. We always say salutations and greetings to tribes of Israel. Salutations and greetings to our Christian brethren on the other side. We always give a salute and shout out to you. Not to bicker, but to hopefully build. Yeshua Messiah is a great discussion, great topic point, especially when it comes to the Bible. And Yeshua is all over the Bible. So if we love the Bible, if we enjoy the Word, then it would be a good thing to dig in it and to see the Savior, and to see the wonderful plan that the Most High has for us, so that we can rule and reign with Him. So peace and shalom to our Sunday brethren. As we always say, we have people and family and loved ones and people who are just in the world for whatever reason. Drugs, alcohol, it could be money. In fact, it could be a lot of different things. The world is just not one thing. All right, so the world can suck us in and have us distracted in a variety of ways. And sometimes distraction leads us to destruction, right? We get derailed, right? God has a road for you, a route for you, and we've seen them signs, detour, right? And God didn't say make a detour. Like somebody else wants you to detour, right? So to our people that we know or don't know that's stuck in the world, for whatever variety of reasons, some people is obviously worse than others. We're in a world now where you got human trafficking, kids are getting kidnapped. We got people stealing body parts. It's a wild world we're in right now. So, but peace and shalom to people who are in this world and want to get out. Right? The world is designed a certain way to where if you like the arrangement, the cosmos, the order of it, then God is free will. Go have at it. Okay. But for those that are in this order, the cosmos, the world, so to say, and don't want to be there, all right, peace and shalom, that we run across some shape, form, or fashion, and may we be vessels that God can use to answer, hopefully, your prayers. So, anyway, all right. So, go ahead and jump on into it. All right. So, we're picking up. We left off last Shabbat. So, Different World, Part 6b. Okay. So, the Lord mighty in war. So, we're kind of going to pick up right where we left off. My plan is to get through this today before it gets dark. That's my plan. Okay. So, I got my own clock going on. All right. So, we have talked about the beginning. We've kind of talked about three major events early in Genesis, where we have the garden, we had Genesis 6, where we had something that went funky with the human daughters and the sons of God. Right. So the big dispute is the sons of God are these Seth's line or are these actual angels? And then in this procreation, we get the men of renown, giants, right? So then God has to get so bad that God's like, man, we got to hit a reset. Okay, flood. Okay, we've kind of gotten into this using extra biblical sources. And then we had the Tower of Babel. And with the Tower of Babel, we're taken to Psalms 82, where we had this divine council where the psalm starts off and it's like, hey, God sits in the congregation of gods and he judges them. So we kind of had the example of the CEO, shareholder, the stockholder, and all the different positions of this company. But you got one that's on top, right? That's God. And then, so we looked at when God descends, he said, let us go look. Well, all of the Hebrew traditions say that he did not go alone and that there were angels, 70 to be exact. And that in the dispersion and the the separation of these people, then now the angels have been placed as chief princes. Okay. And in this, God is upset that these angels are not judging justly, right? Okay, you don't have to give them the Torah. I'll do that for Israel. That's my portion. But the wicked are running amok. The poor, the fatherless, the needy. You guys are terrible at your job. So when you get fired, you're going to die like a man. It's in Psalms 82. Okay. So we've looked at a lot of different things, and we're kind of talking about things that are not seen, right? So in books like Colossians, where it talks about these thrones and dominions, but he is talking. So we have to think and read this text like a Hebrew. And then on top of that, you got to read it as in the time that they were, right? To have the right understanding of what they're saying. Okay. So there's these thrones and dominions, principalities. Okay. So when Shaul or Paul talks about it, we kind of base this around Ephesians 6:12. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, rulers, darkness of this world, against spiritual in high places. So we've kind of covered principalities. We've talked about the powers, right? One Greek word for power is dynamis. You get dynamite, right? Some of y'all remember, what's that show? JJ. Yeah, dynamite. Okay. Yeah. So not that kind of power, but the oisia. I'm probably saying it wrong. But that power is really just referring to authority. So then we say, well, hey, who gave them that authority? Right. So now humans have rules, obligations. In the spiritual world, spiritual realm, spiritual side, are the rules. Is there an order? Apparently so. We looked in Job, right? Last couple, right? God's like, sons of God, get up here. All of you. Who did that include? Satan, right? You know it didn't include angels that are locked up in chains of darkness. Didn't include them. You're where you are until judgment. But everybody else, front center. So there are rules, there are obligations, there is a spiritual constitution of laws, rules, etc. All right. So lastly, we talked about rulers of darkness, spiritual wickedness. And the rules of darkness was two words. It was cosmos krate, and krate or krateo was power in the hand, right? Which in Septuagint would be malach, which we know that we get what Hebrew word from malach, king, melech, okay? And we've talked about cosmos since like blue in the face. That means a long time, right? Cosmos, the arrangement or the order. So these rulers of darkness, there is a order and they have power, okay? We looked at our proof text. It's Mark 3:20-25. Spiritual wickedness, right? Pneumia is for ruach, right? But this particular word was pneumatakos, and it's used in relationship to Torah, songs, right? Spiritual, the law is spiritual. Sing spiritual songs, spiritual understanding. That's the same spiritual described in wickedness. And the spiritual wickedness was where? In high places. And what we really broke down was that this is wickedness in heaven. So you go back to a couple of parts ago, we talked about that there were about 7 levels of heaven. Why we looked at in the book of Revelation, which is war in heaven, which is dragon. This dragon grabs us some stars with them. Right. So in the Hebrew writing, biblical text, stars and angels can be parallel side by side. Okay. All right. So now those are our proof text verses we use for that. Okay. All right. So we talked about humanity has played kiss and don't tell. In the garden, the serpent gave Eve information. Adam saw that information from the serpent was acceptable. He could have stopped it. He's the boss. Okay. Rebellious angels gave humans what? Information. The mighty ones of renown before and after the flood have access to divine heavenly information, i.e., these secrets of heaven. Right? They have access to them. They're sharing them with humans. Right? Does humanity, is our brain getting smarter, or are humans able to, over time, learning more and more and more from somebody or something? If we use the Bible as our foundation, the Bible will tell you, yes, that the adversary is not going to poke you to death, but the adversary is going to present you with something to put you in a great place. How do we know that? Well, the Messiah, who we follow after, came out of the wilderness. He was fasting. But while he was in the wilderness, weak, tired, hungry. And here comes the adversary. He didn't say, man, I got legions of hell. We're going to beat you up really good. It's not what he said. If you bow to me, I'll give you blank, 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 blank. So if that's the case with the Son of the Most High, from day one of humanity, well, really day 6 of humanity, all the way till now, what do you think's been going on? Kiss and don't tell. Hide and seek. So according to the Bible, evil hybrids still exist in the days of Noah. Next time, I'm going to end this today, and then we're going to transition into authority of Yeshua Messiah. But if he has all authority, what does that mean? Right, we just kind of throw it around willy-nilly like a dish rag. Like, what does that mean? He's been given all authority. Okay, so this something kind of blew me away. I did not know this, but in Enoch 19, the watchers, the sons of God, took these women. And I thought it was very interesting. In ancient times, we all know that there's like a dowry, right? You just don't go and say, hey, I want to marry her, right? I got to go to her dad, right? Because if that, and not in a negative way, but girls were under the possession, protection of their father. So you have these angels who have now kind of disguised themselves as humans, right? Same thing Paul talks about in the New Testament, Second Corinthians. And they go and they are talking to these dads. So I wonder in this it's because it's a business transaction, right? I mean, that's kind of how it went. You setting up marriages and arranging marriages. I'm not gonna put my son with some woman who don't come from a good family. That's just kind of how they did it. So you have these beings talking to these dads, and they're saying, hey, I want to marry your daughter, and I'm going to give you something that's going to knock your socks off. Information. Secrets of heaven. Okay. So in Enoch 19, I notice the other day that the women are not held as, oh my gosh, they were taken and ravished. No, like they were complicit in this. So Yah judged them. How many of you saw the cartoon? You saw it, or you took somebody to see it? Little Mermaid. Right. Very good. How many of y'all like Starbucks? Okay. I think those Starbucks. Enoch 19, the Creator told the angels to judge the women. And their judgment was to be turned into alluring spirits, i.e. sirens. Mermaids. I didn't know that. But there you go. So these things people talk about, mermaids, Ooh, werewolves, vampires. It's not just made up. In the days of Noah, they're going to be eating and drinking. There's one word for Greek that means eat. The other word for Greek means to gnaw. You don't gnaw on your food. Only time you really gnaw on your food is if you like me and have some good chicken, you get to the what? Bone. You start gnawing the bone. But in the days of Noah, they were gnawing. This is what you should. So we're talking about, say, cannibalism. Cannibalism. That's in red letters. He wasn't shy. He wasn't. So this is what our Messiah says. He said, hey man, you following after me, you gotta strap up. You gotta strap in and strap up. This is not for the weak. So these things, these ideas, I'm kind of got ahead of myself, but these things are the heavenly secrets. And the other thing we talk about, that the souls of these fallen ones, God called them bastards. So you cannot ascend. You're like, I didn't make that. Right? The rebellious angels wanted to have their own progeny. So Yah starts a progeny, and he gives man, according to Genesis 1, what? Dominion over the things in the air, things on the earth, things in the water. Man is supposed to be man, the guy. But when the men of renown come on scene, they usurp man's position, right? Which is a direct disobedience, a direct transgression, pesha, to what Yah has already said. Okay? So, anyway, so we talked about at the end of the other day, crossing the other side. It was one of the series. They had the concert where the dude stage was like a portal. He's like, see on the other side, you know. And there is a video. I'm just not gonna show it to y'all, but you can see a black shadow jumping into the crowd. Right. So devilish, demonic energy attracts devils and demons, and you just see it right there. So we talked about that, and we kind of talked about that. We used some Arkansas archaeology. Excuse me. Good. And in Arkansas, the Native American tribes talked about caves, mountains as being doors, portals, entrances to the supernatural, the spiritual world. Okay. So we had 3 examples last week. Example 1 was the angels ascending and descending. Example 2 was Stephen's execution. And Stephen was executed as he is before he dies. He says, I see the gates of heaven opening, and I see Yeshua standing at the right side of the Father. The third, we won't get into today, Yeshua condemns the gates of hell, which is this Hades. But this really means the netherworld. Okay, netherworld. So if we look at this with a Near East first century point of view, that's going to make a lot more sense. Okay, so all right, so let's stick with that. All right, and that was our proof text, Matthew 12, 14-45. All right, Axis Mundi. And Axis Mundi means having access. Okay, so it's a concept that has existed throughout human history, where the earth center connects heaven, earth, and the what? Underworld. So the way I think we've kind of been taught to look at hell is when you die, if you're bad, that's where you go, you're going to burn, and blah, blah, blah. But first century and beyond, they understood the underworld or the netherworld because all these different cultures, including the Hebrews, have something in common. That there is a underworld where there are some creepy, crawly things. And the creepy, crawly things can come up here. Okay? And we're going to see how the Bible kind of proves that. So, rituals temples, sacred sites, mountains, caves are considered to be access points to connect the realms. It's not a coincidence that the pyramids are set up in a arrangement to match stars. It's not. Okay. So there are these access points, and that idea is called axis mundi. So with that, the significance of Mount Hermon in the Bible. Okay, the significance of Mount Hermon in the Bible. Okay, all right. So Enoch 7 through 8, and they all swore together, bound themselves by mutual extractions. Their whole number was 200, who descended upon Ardis, who's the top of Mount Hermon, Mount Hermon. That mountain, therefore, was called Hermon because they swore upon it and bound themselves by mutual extraction. All right, so we talked about this, so now we're going to really get into this. Bashan, Caesarea Philippi, Golan Heights. Bashan is what Yeshua references from Psalm 22 when he is dying. When he's dying, he didn't get that far. He died, but he's quoting Psalms, and in Psalms 22, says there are strong bulls of Bashan. They surround me. So we have to look at this from a first century BC. Like, what is he saying? Like, what are they saying? What are they talking about? Right? So we're going to look at Bashan, Caesarea Philippi, Golan Heights. Okay. Bashan, Caesarea Philippi, Golan Heights. All right. So in Joshua 12, 4 through 5, in the coast of Og, king of Bashan, which was of the remnant of the giants, dwelt at Ashtaroth and Edrei, reigned in Mount Hermon, ding, 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 and Salak, and in all of what? Bashan, to the border of the Geshurites, the Bakathites, half of Gilead, the border of Shion, king of Heshbon. Okay, so we see Hermon and we see Bashan being connected geographically, regionally. Okay, that matters, right? Og, king of Bashan, a giant, that matters, right? Joshua 21, 27. To the children of Gershon, the families of the Levites, out of the half tribe of Manasseh, they gave ding, 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 Golan. Who would have thought of that? That was in your Bible. Golan Heights. Golan. And then also, they never changed that name. Golan in Bashan, with the open land about it, the city of refuge for the manslayer, and Bestera, with the open land about it, 2 cities. Okay, right? It's got it in Hebrew highlighted for you, where it says Etz Golan. Well, when you start reading Hebrew, well, and I like about Hebrew, there is no erasing. So if you write something in the text and you mess up, you move on to just write it over again. Sometimes you see words side by side, but it's really Etz Golan Bashan, right? Golan in Bashan. Okay, so the geography matters, especially in the New Testament. In the New and with Yeshua Messiah, geography matters. We're talking about prophecy, right? Somebody give me Isaiah 9. Somebody give me Isaiah 9. Mm-hmm. 1.
Nevertheless, the gloom will not be upon her who is distressed. And when at first he lightly esteemed the land of Zebulun.
Of who?
Of Zebulun.
So it matters about Zebulun getting touched. Go ahead.
And the land of Naphtali.
Uh-huh.
And afterward more heavily oppressed her by the way of the sea, beyond the Jordan, in Galilee of the Gentiles.
And who?
Galilee of the
who?
Gentiles.
Okay. All right. There it is. All right. Somebody give me Matthew. So 4.
What verse?
Yep, Matthew 4 and verse 14.
Matthew 4 and 14.
Uh-huh.
That it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by
Might be
Isaiah.
what?
Fulfilled.
That means this is something that's prophetic,
Mm-hmm.
and we're waiting for the word to be fulfilled and not be what? Full.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because Yah's word is never full. You don't know when. Can't worry about that. Whatever was said back in Isaiah time, all them folks dead. And they're all dead. Hello?
Yes.
They're dead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, the land of Zebulun,
The land of who?
Zebulun,
Uh-huh.
and the land of Naphtali,
Uh-huh.
by the way of the sea,
By the way of the sea.
beyond the Jordan,
Huh.
Galilee of the Gentiles.
Huh.
The people who sat in
They
darkness,
sat in where?
have seen a great light.
Mm.
And upon those who sat in the region and shadow of death, light has dawned.
Okay. So according to the prophecy, Yah is going to begin the work right where the prophet said, verbatim. So for us, when we're looking at things, especially in the New Testament, geography matters. So sometimes when we, like, how many of you have just like read the Bible, like just start from just read all the way through, right? Because that was stuff that I thought it was good when we used to do that. Just read it. What happens is we read past stuff and things like Bashan and Hermon, and you just reading. You know, let me get to the action, right? Places and names, like All right, so Golan and Bashan, okay? Deuteronomy 4:43. Bezer in the wilderness, in the tableland for the Reubenites, and Ramoth and Gilead for the Gadites, and Golan and Bashan for who? The Manassites. Okay? Golan as in Golan Heights. Right? Okay? All right. All right, so look at the last one here. Mark 8:27. And Yeshua went out and his disciples in the towns of Caesarea Philippi. And by the way, he asked his disciples, saying unto them, whom do men say that I am? All right. It was important for the writer, Mark, to let you know where they were. We get into what he said. Oh, your son died. Yes. Where were they? Yeshua does everything for a purpose. Nothing's willy-nilly. So the writer lets us know where they were. All right. All right, turn to go ahead and turn to Genesis 14. You just kind of hold the spot there. All right, so we've kind of talked about last week how the Most High used the flood to fight, but he also had the fallen angels, their seed, the giants, like fight each other. Now, a lot of different civilizations have stories about that. And the ones from India, I think it's called the Bamir. But they have drawings of huge ships in the air and people on the ground fighting. So the ships are in the air fighting, people on the ground fighting. And very interesting because we talked about, and we had the slides, that Hollywood is kind of taking that same story, right? Avengers, X-Men, Justice League, and that famous one, Clash of the Titans. So in the Clash of the Titans, very interesting, let me kind of summarize that Zeus, right, supposed to be like the big good god, rises up and he confines the Titans to Tartarus. Okay, that's where he sends it. That's interesting. 2 Peter 2 and 4. See what it says. For if God not spared the angels that what? So we have to know what he's talking about. He going back to Genesis 6. But cast them down to hell. Our English is going to say hell, but the Greek is Tartaro. So technically, it probably shouldn't be hell. It should be whatever you want to say for Tartarus. For if God not spare the angels that sin, but cast them down into hell, Tartarus, and deliver them into the chains of darkness to be reserved to judgment. Only time it's used in biblical canon is right there. Tartarus. So the writers, the translators were very sure not to put what? Hades. Tartaro is translated as Tartarus. Tartarus is described as the farthest and lowest part of Hades. So it's like you got a maximum secure prison, and then you got the supermax. Tartarus is like the supermax. So if we're looking at the way they thought, they're looking at this as different realms. Heavenly realm, earth realm, under realm. That's how the Bible, that's how the Hebrews thought. Very similar with, not all the way, Sumerians, Egyptians, Greco-Romans kind of come in and kind of take the same concepts. Okay, so in 2 Peter 2 and 4, he is describing Tartarus. Tartarus is a, like, whew, it's where the big dogs is at. It's where, like, Okay, so the Messiah is in. When Yeshua is talking at Caesarea Philippi, he specifically says gates, not gate. Does gates mean plural? Yes. So when he says the gates of hell, gates of Hades, he knows there's a underworld down there. It's not just one. It's an underworld. Okay? The same way there are 7 levels of heaven. There's a underworld. That's this Tartarus is and it's only used one time in our whole Bible. So remember, Yeshua said the gates of hell, plural. Okay, we're gonna look at that. Okay, so we want to follow the clues. All right, so if we continue to follow the clues of Hollywood and Greco-Roman thought, we've talked about ancient Sumer and the Anunnaki. Let's look in the word, all caps, and see what it says. How do the Horites and the Hurrians kind of help connect the dots? I think I told y'all Genesis 14, correct? Genesis 14. And verse 6. Somebody read that. Got a mic back there, Joe.
And the Horites in the mountain of Seir, as far as El Paran, which is by the wilderness.
So the Horites, this isn't making something up. The Horites are actually in your Bible. Once again, you just get to reading through that mug and you're like, the Horites, keep on going. Horites, you get to going real fast. You put that pedal there. Let me get to Abraham. Right? All right. Somebody read 36 of Genesis, 20 through 21. So looking at the Horites. Okay, thanks.
36, 20 through 21. And these were the sons of Seir, the Horite, who inhabited the land. Lotan, Shabal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishon, Edzer, and Dishan.
Mm-hmm.
These were the chiefs of the Horites and the sons of Seir in the land of Edom.
So the Horites are a cave, mountainous people. Them and the Hurrians. Now the Hurrians are not in the Bible. The Horites are. So when we look at the Horites and the Hurrians, it's going to be more from historical context. We'll kind of see, but the Horites are mentioned in our Bible, and we're gonna stand on that. Okay. All right. Now let's look at Deuteronomy 2:12, and then verse 22. 2:12, and then verse 22. So it might say Horim. Yeah, you got to read on in verse.
Deuteronomy 2:12.
Mm-hmm.
The Horites formerly dwelt in Seir, but the descendants of Esau dispossessed them and destroyed them from before them, and dwelt in their place, just as Israel did to the land of their possessions which the Lord gave them.
Okay. So the history of the Horites is that they just disappeared. Well, the Bible agrees. And the Bible says that the Edomites, right, destroyed the Horites, because the Horites were in the mountains of Seir. Where are the Idumeans? The mountains of Seir, right? So once again, geography matters. All right, let's look at verse 22.
In verse 22, just as he had done for the descendants of Esau, who dwelt in Seir, when he destroyed the Horites from before them, from before them, they dispossessed them and dwelt in their place, even to this day.
Very good. So the Horites are like a old, like northern Mesopotamia, like old people. When I say old, I'm just saying it's in like, they go back, right? They go back. So what's their concept? What do they think? Okay. So on this map, we have the Hurrians. The Hurrians and the Horites. Okay. And it says the Horites and the Hurrians are often linked, with Horites being the biblical name, right? So we looked it up, we fact checked, ding ding, for a pre-Edomite people. That's what the word said. Ding ding, in Mount Seir, same place. Ding ding. While the Hurrians were a broader, non-Semitic group, very important. So we take a word from the Horite Hurrian language, we're gonna have to look at it, and because it won't be the same. Okay. Known for ancient Near Eastern texts, right? So they have their own texts. Scholars often identify the biblical Horites as a subset of the larger Hurrian population. So the Horites are a smaller group of the larger Hurrians, or at least sharing cultural ties. Both names refer to people inhabiting ancient Canaan and surrounding areas known for their cave dwellings. So literally, if you look up Horites on like any app, I'm going to say cave dweller. All right, so known for their cave dwellings, Horites from Kori, meaning cave, and eventual integration or displacement by groups like the Edomites. Okay, all right, so just we that's the historical, and then we looked in the Bible, and it's going back like the 1400 BCE. Okay, all right, so the Horites reside in the mountains of Ararat. Why does that sound familiar? That sound familiar. There was a flood. Noah was on the ark, and at one point the ark got a rest. Where the ark rest at? Mountains of Ararat. Ding, ding, ding. I need my bell. All right. So these people are from that area. So where humanity kind of restarts, we're going to get people's view of the supernatural, spiritual, what they thought. Interesting. Their historical writings record that gods walked among us. That's what the Hurrians and the Horites from Genesis 14 said, that gods walked among us. Well, it's kind of what happened in Genesis 6. This Hebrew said the same thing, right? And then they said that the gods that walked among them were sent somewhere. So they were sent to the netherworld. Man, that's exactly what the Hebrews said. All right, are we seeing that? How that kind of correlates? Okay, all right. Now, the Horites, they are linked to an ancient practice. Remember, they dwelt in what? Caves. Remember, caves, according to some ancient traditions, is a point to access Mundi. Okay? All right. So, what is the ancient ritual of Api? Okay? Great question. This is a picture of the underworld. Okay? What did the Horites and Hurrians set in motion of contacting the underworld? Remember, humanity restarts the mountains of where? Ararat. These people were at the mountains of Ararat. And God was just like, y'all got to go. Hello? Y'all got to go. So he sends Jacob's other brother descendant, Edomites, to get rid of them. Okay. All right. So there are ancient rituals, practices, supernatural understanding of all these Horites, Hebrews, Egyptians, Mesopotamians. They all kind of crossed. They might not be word for word, but they all kind of crossed each other. And it's almost like your Facebook reel. You got a Facebook, right? You kind of see the same thing. It's kind of so that's kind of how their mindset. That's how things worked. All right, so to summon them from the netherworld. So now we're looking at we're getting past. Oh, they ain't no underworld. We're thinking the way they thought. They was like, no, there's an underworld, and on top of that, we can call them up. Now remember, the Horites are mentioned in your Bible. This is called Api. Now, Api is a Hurro-Artarian non-Semitic language. So, Api has been translated to Hebrew. Therefore, the word is Ob. Is that in our Bible? So, this practice of Abi, they dig graves, they do sacrifices, ritualistic incantations, and they call up beings from the netherworld. Okay. Now, let's look at 1 Samuel 28:7. Remember, we're looking for old. We can't look for IP because IP is not Hebrew, non-Semitic. The translation from IP is going to be old or old. Can you read that from me? You excited?
I think it's 1 Samuel 28:7. Then said Saul unto his servants, seek me a woman that divineth by a ghost, that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servants said to her, behold, there is a woman that divineth by a ghost, familiar spirit, at Endor.
Okay. So I put familiar spirit there because just to divination, we're talking about that was what in our regular Bibles it's going to say familiar spirit. Tanakh, they're going to say divination. In other words, okay. So if we get to behold, if we get this in Hebrew, and it says, Hene eshat ba'alat ov. And there is shot ba'alat ov, 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 ov. Sorry. So what the Horites from Genesis 14, people who dwelt in caves, their thought, their practice is that you can call up the dead. It's called Apik. That's not in our Bible, but Ob or Ov is. So by lot Ov, be'en door. So the woman that divineth here is Ov. So they're telling you, it's Ov there too. So they're telling you that she's practicing an ancient ritualistic practice that you bring up from the nether world. Everybody see that? All right. So Ov is the Hebrew language. IP is the Hero-Eritrean language. The ancient practice of calling up Elohim or gods from the underworld. So now let's look at Samuel 28, 8 through 25 with Near Eastern contextual understanding. We read it. We know it, right? When we look at it. Speed read. Yeah. So we did 7. We did 7. I'm sorry.
So Saul disguised himself and put on other clothes, and he went and 2 men with him. And they came to the woman by night. And he said, "Please conduct a seance for me, and bring up for me the one I shall name to you." And the woman said to him, "Look, you know what Saul has done, how he has cut off the mediums and spiritists from the land. Why then do you lay a snare for my life to cause me to die?" And Saul swore to her by the Lord, saying, "As the Lord lives, no punishment shall come upon you for this thing." And the woman said, "Whom shall I bring up for you?" And he said, "Bring up Samuel for me." When the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spoke to Saul and said, "Why have you deceived me? For you are Saul." And the king said to her, "Do not be afraid. What do you see?" And the woman said to Saul, "I saw a spirit ascending out of the earth."
Saw what?
A spirit ascending out of the earth.
Out of the where?
Out of the earth.
So that means wherever this spirit was, it came from the underworld.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So he said to her, "What is his form?" And she said, "An old man is coming up, and he is covered with a mantle." And Saul perceived that it was Samuel, and he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed down. Now Samuel said to Saul, "Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up?" And Saul answered, "I am deeply distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and God has departed from me, and does not answer me any more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called you, that you may reveal to me what I should do."
All right. So the whole purpose of divination is to get information. What did he just say? What am I supposed to do? So now think about this. Think about people trying to get rich, wealthy, powerful. Think about kings in this time period. Who's like, "Man, we got to fight the Babylonians. I need some help. Conjure up for me a warrior, ghost, demon dog to help me in battle." I know it sounds sick, but this is the world, and this world is real. This is real. Once again, Yeshua gets authority, heaven, earth, under the earth. That's what the Bible in the New Testament tells you that. Why? Because they understand that there is a heavenly realm, earthly realm, underworld realm. Period. And he's getting all of it. Wow. Go ahead.
Okay. Then Samuel said, "So why do you ask me, seeing the Lord has departed from you and has become your enemy?" And the Lord has done for himself as he spoke by me. For the Lord has torn the kingdom out of your hand and given it to your neighbor, David, because you did not obey the voice of the Lord, nor execute his fierce wrath upon Amalek. Therefore, the Lord has done this thing to you this day. Moreover, the Lord will also deliver Israel with you into the hand of the Philistines, and tomorrow you and your sons will be with me.
Mm. Woo. So it's like, you want to know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
I'm
sorry,
keep going. Okay. The Lord will also deliver the army of Israel into the hand of the Philistines. Immediately, Saul fell full length on the ground and was dreadfully afraid because of the words of Samuel. And there was no strength in him, for he had eaten no food all day and night. And the woman came to Saul and saw that he was severely troubled and said, Look, your maidservant has obeyed your voice, and I have put my life in the hands and heeded the words which you have spoken. Now, therefore, please heed also the voice of your manservant, and let me set a piece of bread before you and eat, that you may have strength when you go on your way. But he refused and said, I will not eat. So his servants, together with the woman, urged him, and he heeded their voice. Then he rose from the ground and sat on the bed. And the woman had a fattened calf in the house, and she had hastened to kill it. And she took flour and kneaded it, and baked unleavened bread from it. So he brought it before Saul and his servants, and they ate. And then they rose and went away that night.
I see y'all tomorrow. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Tough thing. All right. So now we're coming back around. Bashan, Caesarea Philippi, Golan Heights. Okay. Now, Philip the Tetrarch. Why is he important? Well, in Caesarea Philippi, we clearly see Philip. Right? So these tetrarchs, kings, they would name things after themselves. All right, so Philip Tetrarch, son of Herod the Great, inheriting a portion of his father's kingdom after Herod's death, ruling from roughly 4 BC to 34 AD, which would have been during Yeshua's timeline. Okay? His territory included regions east and northeast of the Sea of Galilee, named encompassing Iturea, Trachonitis, Galantius, and Batanea, i.e., Bashan. All right, so they're going to talk about Bashan and Galantius. So Bashan was a fertile, historic region of east of the Jordan River, known for its strong cattle, oak forest associated with the king of Og in the Old Testament. Galantius was main city being Golan, modern day Golan Heights. Everybody see that? Okay. Philip the Tetrarch, a Roman client, governed areas to get to, known for cities like Bethsaida. Y'all heard that before? Doesn't that sound familiar? Okay, sorry. We're gonna help. With Mark 6:45. Turn to God. Remember, geography matters, especially in the New Testament. They just assume you know the history of that place. And you a Hebrew, ain't you? Mark 6:45.
Mark 6:45. Immediately he made his disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side, to Bethsaida.
To where?
To Bethsaida, while he sent the multitudes away.
Keep going.
And when he had sent them away, he departed to the mountain to pray. Now, when evening came, the boat was in the middle of the sea, and he was alone on the land. Then he saw them straining at rowing, for the wind was against them about. And about the 4th watch of the night he came to them, walking on the sea, and would have passed by them. And when they saw him walking on the sea, he supposed that it was a ghost, and cried out, for they all saw him and were troubled. But immediately he talked with them and said to them, "Be of good cheer. It is I. Do not be afraid."
All right. But he say location, 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 location. All right, follow me here. So Bashan, Caesarea Philippi, Golan Heights, same area. It is super spooky. What did they assume was in the water? So they're not, it's not just some random thing. When he's like, hey, we're gonna go up to Bethsaida. This is where we going. They're like, for real? Yeah, y'all go ahead and get on the ship. Y'all go ahead. I'll catch up with y'all. The history behind these areas. So when the wind picks up, the text tells you, from Mark's perspective, what did he do to the wind? Yeshua. Okay. So if you are a first century Hebrew and you understand the supernatural realm of where you at, because you're not home, you're somewhere else, and your rabbi is showing step by step, one, he's walking on water. I mean, you're about to be in heavy Gentile area. He's walking on water. It's me, fellas. Don't worry about it. And then he tells the wind to chill out. Who has supremacy in this region? He's showing who has supremacy. This isn't some miracle, some kind of lullaby story. It's deeper than that, way heavier than that. That Yeshua of Nazareth is like, I am conquering every area where there has been a demonic, spiritual stronghold. I am conquering it. Everything. Where? What? I ain't gonna jump the gun. Early in this chapter, in 6, did he feed 5,000? Remember that. We'll be back. All right. So just giving you an idea, the farther north you go, the more close you get to Hermon, right? This is where the angels fell. Well, landed. And there's a thought that at that mountain is a gate. Anyway. All right. So Philip renamed this area Caesarea Philippi. Caesarea means after Caesar. Philip after himself. Right. All right. So his region. So in his region of Caesarea Philippi was also called Paneas. Ding, ding, ding. You not talked about that? Yes, we have. Man. All right. So this is the area of goat demons. Remember this area. So this area. So if you were one of his students, he was like, yeah, let's go, guys. Where are we going? North? How far north? Oh, a couple days journey. You get to walking and going. Man, we ain't home. We ain't home no more. We all the way out here. You sure ain't? We ain't worried about sleeping good. He ain't worried about none of it. So this is because remember, Yeshua is the Most High's face. He's his expressed image. So everywhere these idiot, supernatural, rebellious have kind of put their things, Yeshua's coming by and it's just like, But we're looking at it as, oh my gosh, the miracles of Jesus. And we're taking the tenacity. Remember, the kingdom of heaven, man, it's taken by violence and force. And we're taking it and we're watering it down. This man about business. So this city, Caesarea Philippi, a city with pagan shrines. Pagan shrines. Okay. So Benias, Golan area, okay. So just you're connected. So Golan Heights, all the stuff is connected. Okay, to Mount Hermon. right? So when we look at Caesarea Philippi, when he says what he says, they're at the base of Mount Hermon. Geography matters. Golan Heights. They're fighting today. Geography matters. Okay, so in Dr. Heiser's book, Reversing Hermon, he says in Jesus' day, Caesarea Philippi was also called Panea, so we fact check, having been dedicated to the worship of Pan. When viewed from this perspective, the scene takes place on a geography considered the gates of hell in Old Testament times, the domain of Baal, the Lord of the dead. Remember, the underworld. And at the mountain where the plot of the watchers was hatched. Okay? All right. So, notes on Caesarea Philippi. So here's, right, but everything lit. Baneas, Caesarea Philippi, Mount Hermon, right? All that stuff's right there. Okay? Caesarea means severed. Philip the Tetrarch renamed the region of Jordan after himself and Caesar. This is also the area of Pan worship. Okay? Who was Pan? The goat Elohim, the goat god, son of Hermes, right? Greek mythology. Right? This is I forgot that tunnel, that super tunnel in Europe, but they're in Europe in about, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Huge tunnel, some big old train, and this was their opening ceremony. They had a goat running out of it. That's now. So when we're looking at this stuff, this is real. This is we live, baby. The cameras is lights, camera, action. It's been doing that for a long time. All right, so we talked about this in previous different worlds. I don't remember which one, we've done so many, but it says, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirs up the dead, even all the chief ones of the earth, has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. So the chief ones, right, for all are today. Right? We even have Rephaim right here, okay, the dead. But the Sa'ul or Ka'al are today chief ones, and this was the ego. Demons, plural. They're not in punishment. The chief ones of the earth. So, Pan today would just be the Baphomet, the goat god. This was in Arkansas. New York. They moved the statue all over different parts of the world. Okay. It's like today, 2000. All right. Let's go back to Matthew 16. All right, Matthew 16. This chapter starts off with the Pharisees and the Sadducees asking for Yeshua to show them a what? Sign. Like, man, forget y'all. You know this about the weather. You know this, but you can't discern the signs of the time. So then he says, I will give you a sign. The sign of what? Jonas the prophet. We're in 16, Matthew 16, verse 4. Okay, the sign of Jonah, right? Who was in the whale, or the body of the huge animal, 3 days and 3 nights. Then he came up preaching, right? Preaching what? Repentance. Will Yeshua come up preaching? Repentance. So you want a sign? I give you one, son. That's your sign. All right. So that's the first part of 16. Now, then we get to the disciples will come to the other side. They have forgotten to take bread. Okay. And remember, they've forgotten to take bread. Yeshua said unto them, take heed, beware the leaven of the Sadducees and Pharisees. They reasoned because we forgot, because we have taken no bread. And when he perceived, he said unto them, you a little faith. I'm paraphrasing. You don't understand. Okay? I'm not talking about physical bread. I'm talking about the doctrine of the Pharisees and Sadducees. All right. Now, verse 13. Where are they? What does it say? Matthew 16 and 13. So we just had the situation where they was in Mark and they crossed the water. You got all this stuff going on, supernatural stuff. Now they're in the coast of Caesarea Philippi. Everybody see that? Okay, now understand this. Let's go back really quick. Matthew 14. Let's look at Matthew 14 and 13. Matthew 14 and 13. Can you read that? And just read. I'm sorry.
Matthew 14 and 13. And when Jesus heard of it, he departed thence by ship into a desert place apart. And when the people had heard thereof, they followed him on foot out of the city.
All right, now, they followed him where?
On foot out of the city.
Out of the city. So not the city.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Keep going.
So when he heard of it, he departed thence by ship into a desert place apart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Verse 14.
And when Yeshua went forth, he saw a great multitude and was moved with compassion toward them, and he healed their sick. And when it was evening, his disciples came to him, saying, "This is a desert place."
This is a what place?
Desert place.
So they're not in the city.
Mm-hmm.
They're out in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
You paying attention?
Yeah.
You paying attention? They're like in the wilderness. I thought Hebrew thought, Hebrew culture, the desert and the wilderness are for like evil, bad spirit stuff. Go. That's where they belong. So he's taken 5,000 people to the desert. And what did they say he did to them in verse 14?
14. Moved with compassion toward him, he healed their sick.
He did what?
Healed their sick.
So he had 5,000 people sick. This, that Hebrew thought is that you're sick because something. You did something. You cursed. The demon face something. So he got all these people in the desert, healing them and feeding them. And they're telling you it's in a desert place. So if you got a Hebrew mind, man, he chose to take them out of the city. All right, and then we get into like the rest of this chapter where we get Mark over again. Okay. All right. So back to 16 and 13, Matthew. If you can read to 19.
And when Yeshua came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, "Who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am?" And they said, "Some say thou art John the Baptist, some Elias, and other Jeremiah, and one of the prophets." He said unto them, "But who do you say I am?" And Simon Peter answered and said, "Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God." And Yeshua answered and said unto him, "Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. And I say unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it.
Mm-hmm.
And I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven. And whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven."
All right. So how many of us have heard this verse preached on building the rock and the gates of hell and the bind on? How many we've heard that? All kinds of stuff on there, right? Let's look at where he is. This is where they are. So when he's doing this, here, you got a temple of Zeus. Here's something for Caesar. Here's where you go worship for Pan. This right here, this looks like this cave. That back there, that's the rock he's talking about. So when they go up to Caesarea Philippi, that's what it looks like. So imagine Yeshua and his few trusted men in the center or at the doors of hell. Got another place. There's your cave entrance. We're going to look at that, what it looks like today, because it's still there today. Remember, Caesarea Philippi, they're at the base of what mountain? Hermon. This is the base of the mountain. This is where the angels came and collaborated against God and against his creation. How dark can you get? Temple of Augustus, Court of Pan, Temple of Zeus. So this is what it would have looked like. Caesarea Philippi. Here's your mountains of Hermon. Right here. Mark 5:7. What have you to do with me, Yeshua, Son of the Most High? They're calling him that because they know, hey man, you out your area, aren't you? Or is it the time, Psalm 82, where we all get fired and we die? They understand. All right, this is Matthew 16 and 18. And I say unto thee, thou art Peter, Petros, and upon this rock I will build my church. Okay? And the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. I should have put Petra here. So if you're watching, church is ecclesia, and that means assembly. Hebrew kahal, the people. Now, you want to talk about getting messed over by the Catholic Church? That thou art Peter, Petros. And every time Petros is used, it's used to describe Peter. Only one time it's talking about like a rock. And upon this rock, Petra, it's always talking about a cliff, a rock, etc. So clearly, they let you know in Greek that there are two rocks. Peter is a rock, but upon this rock. Well, what rock is he talking about in Matthew 16 and 18? Remember, this is what it would have looked like. It looks like today. Ding, ding, ding. That's the rock he's talking about. Because obviously all the temples and shrines, they get destroyed over time. That's the rock. So when he says, the gates of hell, ding, 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 that's who he's talking about. He's at the base of Mount Hermon, where these idiots rebelled against my dad. And they caused all this stuff. So now look at what he says. So this, after Peter said, man, you're the son of God. And I say unto thee, thou art Peter, Petros. And upon this rock, I'm going to build my congregation, my assembly, my ecclesia. And the gates of hell will not prevail against it. But if I'm just going to sit here and just listen to somebody up here in a suit or a robe thing with something around their neck or a fish hat on their head, now we done made Peter and St. Peter and done all this stuff. And that ain't even what he's talking about. This is the base, the bottom of the mountain. Does this make sense? All right, so we look quickly. Golan Heights. All right, so Bashan is a large area. Bashan, there you see Mount Hermon. Right? So Mount Hermon is 3 times higher than any mountain in ancient Israel. The peak reaches 9,230 feet. Caesarea Philippi is close proximity to the castle of Nimrud. And this is the mountain, right? Because we were looking at Matthew 16. So after he said this in Matthew 16, Matthew 17, they go up into a high mountain. Well, what mountain would they go up to? They're already at a zillion miles away from home. This is like a week, just like a road trip, except we walk guys and sandals. He couldn't take everybody. He took the ones that's got some G in. You understand what I'm saying? He couldn't take everybody. He took the ones that's got some dog in. Because this is what it's about. So the Mount of Transfiguration is described as a high mountain, Matthew 17:1, Mark 9:2. So we're looking at the geography, the history, and I messed up. There are these, everybody knows about Stonehenge. There are stone hinges all around the Golan Heights on Mount Hermon. And there are these, you might seen those crop dust, the things, like X-Files, the crop dust things in fields, all over. And I had pictures for y'all. I'm sorry, I'll show them next time. All over this area. All over. And this is where he is saying, yeah, part 2 of my killing spree starts right here. Gates ahead. Right here. I'm going to go to your door. Hey, I'm going to build my stuff right here. All right. Let's, can you read me Philippians 2 and 10? You want to copy this down? So just when you get there, just hold sweet. All right, so here's another map to our Golan Heights. Okay, so the thing about that the Jordan River starts from Mount Hermon, right? So there's a lot of fighting today in the Golan Heights, and some would just say, what's over natural resources? But others would say this is spiritual resources. They've been fighting over this area since the beginning of time, specifically since Genesis what? 6. So the Golan. So I'm just showing you that this area, right? Bashan translates to modern day Syria and the Golan Heights today. We have Bashan again, and we have UN forces deployment area in the Golan Heights. Now I'll save that website for, I know it's late. I'm almost done. So we'll do the website next time. Philippians 2 and 10. Now, with everything we looked at today, think about this. What Yeshua just did, the levels he went to, walking on water, calming the wind, to folks thinking about ghosts, because they're in an area where it's kind of like that. And he is showing his dominance, his supremacy. This is as if God got off the throne, came down to earth, and just started walking around. Just, you ain't gonna pick that up. You ain't gonna get that out. This is what it's like in your New Testament. Go ahead, Philippians 2 and 10.
Philippians 2 and 10. That at the name of Yeshua, every knee should bow.
How many knees?
Every knee.
A couple of knees?
Every knee.
Okay.
Should bow. Of things in heaven.
Of where?
Of things in heaven.
1.
Of things in earth.
In earth, there's 2.
And things under the earth.
Where?
Under the earth.
Where?
Under the earth.
So they have an understanding of the access mundi. Heaven, earth, underworld. Like it's like common knowledge to them. So when we say he has all authority, Remember, it was principalities, powers, rulers of darkness, and spiritual wickedness in high places. So we're to obey. We're just to obey. As far as doing the jacking and the scrapping, that's him. We'll look at Amos 9, what the prophet say about that. Look at Revelation 5 and 3. Can you read that? This will be our last one. Revelation 5 and 3. And then verse 5 and 13. So 3:13.
And 5 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
And no man in heaven, nor in earth, nor under the earth.
What are those 3 places?
Now, and no man in heaven, nor in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look upon. Okay. In verse 13, and every creature which is in heaven, on the earth, and under the earth.
Every creature is where?
In heaven, on the earth, and under the earth. And such as are in the sea, and all that are in them heard I saying, blessing and honor and glory and power be unto him that sitteth on the throne, and unto the Lamb forever and ever.
Now, the sea is another dimension. I wasn't going to go there, but the Bible did. And you see with your own eye. So the writers, when they talk about the realms, thrones, dominions, they don't leave anything out. They understand that the Mashiach, the Messiah, is going to conquer all. So when the Bible talks about death and hell being thrown away, we're talking about the underworld being, you're not going to need it anymore. The only reason there's an underworld is because you had a bunch of idiots break some rules. You got these different levels of the underworld. All right. Does that make sense? All right. Look at 1 Peter 3 and 17. We'll close out on this. We will continue. Y'all willing? And hopefully this shines more light and understanding on just the New Testament and what they're like where their mind is. Okay. This is where our mind should be. 1 Peter 3 and 17. Sure, 17 through 20.
Okay. 1 Peter chapter 3, 17 through 20. For it is better, if the will of God be so, and ye suffer for doing well, than for doing evil. For Christ also hath once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to God, being put to death in the flesh, but quickened by the Spirit, by which also he went and preached unto the spirits in prison.
Whoa, hold it. What spirits are locked up? Remember, this is Peter talking. 2 Peter, he also talks about wandering stars, who's in a place of punishment till judgment. So I wonder if these spirits, where are they? Go ahead, continue.
Verse 20, which sometime were disobedient.
They were what?
Disobedient.
Okay.
When once the long suffering of God waited in the days of Noah, while the ark was preparing, wherein few, that is, 8 souls were saved by water.
All right. So Peter is saying, hey, there are some spirits who are disobedient, and they really got it during the flood. Remember that the Most High made the watchers watch. Everybody remember the king of Israel? Can't think of his name. Anyway, he got captured. Had both his eyes poked out. I don't know. But he got his eyes poked out. And what was the last thing he saw? You might know that story. Saw all his kids killed. So they captured him, killed his kids, poked his eyes out. Tell what kind of the Most High did to those angels. Before they got locked up, we're going to watch this civil war. We're going to watch them die. Then I'm going to lock you up. So when he's making a reference, what do you think he's talking about? He's not going down there preaching. He's going down there and he's declaring. I'm in the realm of the dead for 3. And I'm out. When I'm out, I have all power and authority. Heaven, earth, under earth. This is gangster. Caesarea Philippi, Mount Hermon, crucified, goes down to the underworld. I'm letting you know, I'm out of here in 3 days. So, when somebody asks me a question, I have no clue what she's talking about. This is what she was talking about. But the understanding and interpretation is just, if you're not understanding what takes place in the flood, angels, giants, culture, the dead world, the realms, I mean, it's easy to miss. But he goes down to the darkest of the dark, the lowest of the lowest, Tartarus, where folks ain't getting out to a judgment. And he was like, this was God. This is my dad's plan. And it backfired. But your plan backfired. Now you done messed up. So, that being said, we'll pick up Matthew 17, him ascending. We're just going to keep going. But I do want to get into the authority of Yeshua Messiah and what it means for us to walk in his authority. I want to extend to it. All right, so thank you. Hopefully this has been a blessing and informative. Like, share, subscribe. Invite people to our studies, to our class. And share messages. We're going to continue to dig in the Word of the Most High and pull it out. Praise Yah. Can you go to the Elena